10 Battlestar Galactica characters and their Star Trek counterparts. The sci-fi franchises of Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek have mirrored one another practically since day one. In fact, the original 1978 Battlestar Galactica came under fire on many occasions for supposedly copying Star Trek, and the reimagined 2004 BSG did too. In spite of this heavy criticism at its core, Battlestar Galactica has carved out its own niche with its gritty but grounded approach, honoring but still changing the Star Trek sci-fi formula. While these two universes have each made their own unique mark on the sci-fi genre, it is undeniable that they do share many parallels. From a heavy focus on ethical concepts to overarching themes of the survival of the human race, Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek have more in common than not. Not the least of their similarities lies in the character archetypes that exist in each universe. These Battlestar Galactica characters all have their counterparts in the Star Trek franchise. In fact, some are so similar as to be nearly interchangeable. As the commanding officer of the Battlestar Galactica, Commander William Adama Edward James Olmos fills a role similar to that of Star Trek The Next Generation's Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Sir Patrick Stewart. Adama consistently tries his best to make the right decisions for his crew and the good of what is left of humanity, and this frequently requires him to bend his ethics. Though he can sometimes be rather hardline due to his military background and a long history of betrayals by those close to him, Adama is self-aware and capable of growth. The fact Adama cares is obvious in the way he treats his crew, even going so far as to memorize every crewman's name. His character undergoes considerable emotional growth throughout the series, evident in his burying of the hatchet with Roslin and gradual, if reluctant, acceptance of humanoid Cylons. His grudge against the Cylons mirrors that of Picard's against the Borg, and much like Jean-Luc's tension with his brother, Adama has a family rift with his son Lee. In addition, both Picard and Adama are diplomatically and tactically cunning and have a strong ethical code. Kara Starbuck Thrace, Kati Sackhoff, is a skilled Viper pilot and Battlestar Galactica's fearless second-in-command, acting as the reimagined BSG counterpart to Major Kira Nerys, Nana Visitor, of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Starbuck is certainly the headstrong fighter of her motley crew, but her brash attitude is balanced by fierce loyalty and a strong moral compass that gradually wins Commander Adama's trust. Similar to Major Kira Nerys' childhood on the Cardassian enslaved planet Bajor, Starbuck came from an impoverished upbringing and very traumatic circumstances. Major Kira and Kara Thrace each have abrasive attitudes known to get them in trouble, and additionally, each share deeply held religious beliefs. Ultimately, the biggest Starbuck and DS9 connection lies in the fact both of these characters are strong heroines hell-bent on carrying their people to safety and freedom, whatever the cost. In the vast universes of Battlestar Galactica, BSG, and Star Trek, we meet a wide array of complex characters who often share similar roles and personalities despite their different circumstances. While these two franchises may differ in tone, technology, and narrative style, their characters echo across the stars. Here's a look at 10 major characters from Battlestar Galactica and their Star Trek counterparts. 1. William Adama and Jean-Luc Picard BSG, Admiral William Adama Star Trek. Captain Jean-Luc Picard Adama, the seasoned and stoic military leader of Battlestar Galactica, shares many traits with Star Trek The Next Generation's Captain Picard. Both are strong, principled commanders who inspire loyalty in their crews. Adama's command style, much like Picard's, is grounded in wisdom, discipline, and a deep sense of responsibility. Though Adama operates in a more desperate, post-apocalyptic setting like Picard, he places his people's survival and moral compass above all, even in the face of overwhelming odds. 2. Laura Roslin and Catherine Janeway BSG, President Laura Roslin Star Trek. Captain Catherine Janeway President Laura Roslin's political leadership during the survival of humanity is mirrored in Captain Janeway's struggle to lead her crew home through uncharted space in Star Trek Voyager. Both are thrust into power unexpectedly and must balance personal ethics with the demands of leadership. Roslin's battle with cancer parallels Janeway's internal struggle with loneliness and the burden of command. Both women are tough, pragmatic, and willing to make hard decisions for the greater good, often finding themselves in morally gray areas. 3. Kara Starbuck Thrace and James T. Kirk BSG. Kara Starbuck Thrace, Star Trek. James T. Kirk Starbuck, the rebellious, hot-headed fighter pilot, shares much in common with Star Trek's most iconic captain, James T. Kirk. Both are rule breakers and risk takers, often defying authority to do what they believe is right. Starbuck, like Kirk, is incredibly skilled in her field, often pushing herself and her ship to the limit. While Kirk is driven by exploration, Starbuck is driven by her instinct to fight and survive. Both characters embody a kind of raw, untamed leadership and charisma. 4. Gaius Baltar and Quark BSG. Dr. Gaius Baltar, Star Trek. Quark. Dr. Gaius Baltar, the brilliant but morally ambiguous scientist responsible for humanity's near extinction, has a counterpart in Quark, the Ferengi bartender from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. While Baltar is more central to BSG's plot, both characters share a selfish, opportunistic streak. Baltar manipulates those around him to protect himself, much as Quark often prioritizes profit over principles. However, both also show moments of humanity and depth that transcend their initial portrayal as self-serving cowards, ultimately wrestling with their conscience. 5. Saul Tigh and Worf BSG. Colonel Saul Tigh, Star Trek. Worf. Colonel Saul Tigh, Adama's loyal second-in-command and longtime friend, shares parallels with Worf, the Klingon officer in Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine. Both characters have complex, often tortured inner lives, driven by a sense of duty, honor, and personal pain. Tigh's struggles with alcoholism and the revelation of his true nature as a Cylon echo Worf's grappling with his identity as a Klingon raised by humans. Both serve as the moral backbone of their respective crews, though they often deal with intense personal conflicts. 6. Sharon Boomer Valeria and 7 of 9 BSG. Sharon Boomer Valeria, Star Trek. 7 of 9 Boomer, the conflicted Cylon sleeper agent who struggles with her identity, finds her Star Trek counterpart in 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager. Both characters grapple with their dual nature, Boomer between her human and Cylon sides, and 7 between her Borg and human identities. Their journeys of self-discovery are fraught with emotional conflict, as they must choose between loyalty to their origins and their developing sense of individuality. In the end, both characters demonstrate the complexities of personhood in a world that sees them as other. 7. Lee Apollo Adama and William Riker BSG. Lee Apollo Adama, Star Trek. William Riker Lee Adama, the son of Admiral Adama and a key figure in the fleet's military leadership, shares traits with Commander William Riker of Star Trek, The Next Generation. Both serve as second-in-command, balancing their personal ambitions with loyalty to their leaders. Lee's struggle to find his place in a world shaped by his father's shadow parallels Riker's internal conflict between seeking his own command and his loyalty to Picard. Both characters are strong, decisive leaders who grow into their own authority over time. 8. Caprica 6 and Deanna Troi BSG. Caprica 6, Star Trek. Deanna Troi. Caprica 6, a seductive and enigmatic Cylon, and Deanna Troi, the empathic Betazoid counselor from Star Trek, The Next Generation, serve similar roles in how they affect those around them. Caprica 6's influence on Baltar changes the course of human history, much like Troi's influence on the crew often helps them navigate personal and moral dilemmas. Both characters possess a deep understanding of the human or Cylon condition and use their insights to influence events, although 6 does so with far darker undertones. 9. Hilo Agathon and Miles O'Brien BSG. Carl Hilo Agathon, Star Trek. Miles O'Brien. Hilo, the ever-reliable and morally centered Raptor pilot, shares many qualities with Chief Miles O'Brien from Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine.